Hello, beautiful humans. Yes. Today felt like the right moment in this now moment to give you a little bit of an introduction into alchemy and bodywork. Yes. Poor connection. Yes, we're in Bali, so of course we can have poor connection. I hope the connection stays well. So yes, felt right to dive into a online recording that will eventually be available on my website, on my Instagram, about my previous post, the body map. And I was hoping for you to be able to see it on the screen very well, but you'll have to somehow take a photo, take a screenshot from the body map in one of my previous posts, and while you have it on your screen, or you maybe can print it out, you can watch this video. On my website I will have a digital image of the body map as well, to just take you through how with alchemy and bodywork we can release these trapped emotions. So first of all, what is very important with releasing emotions is to use alchemy. And with that, we use the geometry of creation. The geometry of creation is the original reality of unity, singularity, oneness that we carry in our heart. Our heart is the first organ that evolved in our mother's womb, and by connecting ourselves to the heavens above and the earth below, we are able to receive a certain vibration that will help you in the process of releasing the emotions much more effectively and efficiently. So the energy work that I usually do makes the bodywork alchemy and bodywork. But to go into the map, energy always travels from the bottom of your body up. Yeah. So what will happen in your root chakra will move up along all the chakras into your mind, and then your mind can respond to it. So in the body we carry the subconscious, and it is 90% or 95% of our consciousness. Only 5% or 10% of our consciousness is our intellect, is our mind. And our mind keeps living out what is still hidden in the body. So this map gives you a very detailed explanation of what you might be hiding inside of your body. And you can work on the points, or on the areas, I actually have to say, also yourself, because you can use your hands, and you can bring your hands together like this, and you can move into your diaphragm to release trapped emotions from the diaphragm, pancreas, solar plexus area, undigested emotions of irritation, frustration, aggression, disappointment, anger, etc. The fearful nervousnesses that are in that emotional center you are also able to remove by moving with your hands underneath the ribcage into that area. And if you feel an emotion coming up, you can release it on yourself. So let's continue with that emotional solar plexus, because the emotional solar plexus is probably one of the centers where we most easily get triggered. We most easily take things personal, because when we take something personal, we take what the other is doing to us, instead of seeing that the other is not doing it to us, but life is always happening for us to learn and grow. Never is life happening to us. That is when we take things personal. But in this moment, we should all be moving ourselves from feeling it, empathy, on the inhale, into seeing it, compassion, on the exhale, which requires for us to create a very strong muscle between the emotional sensitivity, the emotional processing center in the diaphragm, where we can carry those emotions of love unreceived, that can make us lose faith in ourselves, that make us maybe feel not good enough, inadequate, that can make us feel emptiness, that make us lose trust into an intimate connection to our emotional sensitivity. that at times make us feel silenced. Somebody has maybe told you to be quiet, shut up, and with that impact, you then take those emotions personally. So now that we have all grown up and we have an infant inside of ourselves, we can start moving ourselves from empathy, feeling it, to seeing it. Imagining a little exhaust pipe that opens in your higher heart chakra that allows you to release those emotions that you have only sensed, felt briefly on the inhale. And on the exhale, you move yourself to seeing that whatever happened wasn't happening to you, but whatever happened happened for you to learn and grow. For you to learn and grow the truth between love, light, truth, positivity, and darkness, negativity, and fear, duality. Yeah? And this is what we wanted to learn. And we have learned from that duality, that darkness, the fear, the illusion long enough to know the truth that there's only truth in unity, singularity, love. And I'll get into that a little bit further onwards. So in the diaphragm, solar plexus area, we have these trapped emotions that we are able to receive when things have been coming towards us. And with our emotional sensitivity, we have taken things personal. Yeah, if you were a little fetus, a little baby in your mother's womb, and your mother was feeling not good enough, you might have felt that, and you might have taken that emotion personally, so you started feeling not good enough too. Yeah? And then later on, maybe because of that trapped emotion already being there, that's also why you attracted another circumstance that made you feel not good enough. So as long as we keep that emotion there, circumstances will come to us that will show us that we still have trapped emotion inside of ourselves. Because one thing that you will learn if you connect to the Akashic Records is that it is never the other. It is never only the other, it is never just the other. So whenever something happens, whenever you become triggered about something, that means that there is a trauma response, there is a trigger being triggered inside of you. And when it's about emotional sensitivity, emotional processing, it is located in the diaphragm, the emotional solar plexus, where we can have fearful emotional nervousness towards things that maybe have happened in the past. And in that moment, we have taken it personal instead of moving ourselves from taking it personal, empathy, to compassion. Compassion does not take anything personal. Only empathy does that. So it's very beautiful to be an empath, but it is very, very important to only be an empath for a brief moment. On the inhale, you're being an empath, and on the exhale, you move yourself to being compassionate. Yeah, so this is the diaphragm, solar plexus area, the sensitivity of the emotional processing center. Now, just below that, we have a very big area around the navel, where we have the navel chakra that carries the umbilical cord that we were connected to our physical mother. And when our physical mother and our physical father came together, they created the vesica piscis, which are two spheres coming together, two cells coming together, and we received 50% of our mother's parental ancestral lineage, and we received 50% of the parental and ancestral lineage of our physical father. So in this navel area, we carry most of these undigested issues from our own life, this life, from our own past lives, from our parental ancestral lineage, are located in that center. And I have summed them up, and most of them are all in there. We can have the fear of authority. If somebody has had authority over you, it can be a parent, it can be a school teacher, a swimming school teacher, and whenever that person that had authority over you has dumped their emotions, their impact onto you, it could lead you to having a fear towards authority. Authority would also be the government, because the government can have authority over you. There is government officials that can have authority over you. It can be, you know, immigration. It can be border police officers. Those kind of people who also at times might have the idea that they have authority over you, that they are above you, that they can control you, that they can manipulate you. The fear of authority. The fear of death. Now, for the soul, death is an illusion, because the soul is infinitely conscious and keeps moving from this life into a next plane of consciousness. So death for the soul doesn't really exist. But for our egos, it is one of the things that most egos are actually afraid of. The fear of death can also lead us to, you know, being afraid to experience physical death, and therefore we want to be very healthy. We want to search for longevity, which are all positive aspects of this, because of course if you search for longevity, you will probably also live longer and therefore have a longer life in this body, which is one day going to end, because there's an expiration date on the physical body. But for the soul, death does not exist. Death is like changing clothes, or, you know, changing your shoes for the soul. Death, the fear of death, can also lead to the fear towards endings and new beginnings. Are you hesitating to end something old and to step into something new? That is also something that is related to the same thing of death. Because when we end an old relationship, when we end an old part of our lives, part of us actually in that ending dies and needs to die in order for us to receive a new beginning. So that new beginning will only be able to become about if we allow that old part of ourselves to be dying. So be aware that this fear of death can also be the fear towards endings and new beginnings. Then we also have the failure and mistakes fear. Now, this is most common for all of us, you know. We have been kind of conditioned that actually failures and mistakes exist, which is actually not true. The universe, your soul, your higher self, your spirit guides have never seen you make any failures or mistakes. Because failures or mistakes is a fear, and it only belongs in the third dimension. In the fifth dimension and higher, there's only opportunities to learn and grow. So your soul has never judged you for making a failure or mistake. Your soul has only seen you, your personality, has only been seeing you learning and growing and knowing how to, and better not, and knowing how not to do certain things. So failures and mistakes actually do not exist. At least not in the reality of the fifth dimension of your soul. Then we have the fear towards responsibilities and responding to life. So if we hesitate to respond to our highest excitement, if we are hesitating to the responsibility for choosing our highest version of ourselves, this is the fear towards responsibilities, and it can also lead to the fear towards responding to life. Yeah. The fear towards the past, what happened in the past might be happening again in the future or tomorrow. The fear of tomorrow and the fear of the future is also something that can be trapped in that intuitive, instinctual center of the navel chakra. The navel chakra is where we can connect to our higher self. It is where we can connect to our spirit guides. And I want to place some attention on this, because this is also where we at times can maybe reject or ignore our intuition. Maybe our higher self or our spirit guides are trying to communicate with us in our navel chakra, the chakra that belongs to our inner child, the magician inside each and every one of us, who's intuitive, who's instinctual. So if you tend to ignore, if you tend to reject your intuition, your instinct, this is because of the fear towards failures, mistakes, fear towards, now in the past I have been listening to my intuition, and that was punished by the darkness for, you know, falling from the light of creation into the darkness of duality. If that is the case, then this is why you are rejecting your intuition, your instinct. And it is also why you are then rejecting part of yourself, which is in this case your inner child. The one who holds all of the bliss, all of the ecstasy that you can imagine in your wildest dreams that is available for you. And it is all located in your inner child, who lives in your tummy, who lives in that navel area. So you can work on this area yourself too. Yeah, with your hands coming together like this, you could move into your navel area and you can work onto feeling how it feels to move into certain areas around the navel in that circle that I have created that surrounds the navel chakra, where you are able to pick up on intuitive, instinctual information that comes not only from your own intuition, but it can also come from outside of you, other dimensions who are able to communicate with you. As in the 13 chakra system, this is the 5th chakra, which represents the 5th dimension also. So, and in the navel we also carry the fear of inadequacy, not being good enough. Not being good enough is also something that we can then project onto future projects. We can put it on our relationships. And as soon as we put fear onto our projects, as soon as we put fear onto our relationships, that fear starts consuming creative energy, creative space in the relationship, and it can cause the relationship to become wary, or it can cause your creative project not to be able to reach its highest potential future outcome, because your fears are adding to your highest potential future outcome, and therefore your highest potential future outcome is going to drop down. So when you would work on releasing those fears, you will be able to materialize, manifest more miraculously as well. Then at the very bottom you have the psoas, and the psoas and the iliac crest. The iliac crest is the bone of the hip, and inside of that we carry the fear of feeling unsafe. The fear of feeling unsafe, the fear of lack of trust, distrust, the fear of lack of manifestation. And these fears are very much related to those moments in time and space where we have maybe had very unsafe situations, where, you know, we had to respond from a fight or flight mode. And this fight or flight mode, then the memory hides into that psoas iliac crest muscle that sits in the inside of the hip. It is connected to the inside of the femur bone, the inside of your thigh, and from the inside of the thigh it runs up to your lower back into your lower spine. A lot of people get lower back pain because the psoas muscle is holding on to too much trauma, and when it's holding on to too much trauma, then it becomes drier and drier and drier, and we stay in that tension, that contraction of fight or flight. So you can also lightly work into this area because it sits right next to the hip bone. When you're sitting up, it is difficult to, you know, work around your tummy because your abdomens are keeping your body straight. But if you would lay down flat, then by laying down flat you will be able to move through areas inside of your body much easier. So those are the lower chakras. This information from the psoas, the root chakra and the sacral, will be moving up, and you will be able to become aware of it now that you know that which fears are coming from somewhere. If you're holding on to the fear of feeling unsafe, you will be playing it safe instead of just courageously, spontaneously doing whatever your body wants you to, do spontaneously. if you're having a lack of trust inside of yourself, you might also not be trusting other people, because it is as within, so without, so without, so within. The outside is only mirroring what you still have inside of yourself, and it is actually a gift if somebody would be, maybe having an experience of distrust, which is actually then, in that case, a reflection of what is inside of yourself, or what is moving around inside of yourself. What is going to Yes. So then we move into the heart chakra. The heart chakra is, of course, our center that is connected to our soul purpose. So in this heart chakra area, we tend to hold on to. Oh, I don't think that was my idea to actually add people into the. Yeah. So around the heart chakra, we carry fears towards our soul purpose. Our soul purpose is that we are all here to be unique. So one of the things that I find a lot in this heart chakra area is that people are holding on to the fear of feeling unsafe to be unique, to be different, because that can be happening inside of the heart chakra. Other things that are happening in the heart chakra is emotional detachment, not wanting to feel certain emotions. Not wanting to feel certain emotions leads to those emotions becoming trapped in the connective tissue, the muscle that runs along the sternum, and it also runs in between the rib cage. Yeah, so in between the rib cage, it can be that we are holding on to undigested emotions or emotional detachment. Fear towards our uniqueness, our soul purpose, which is unique. There is millions of people on earth, and each individual person has a different, a unique purpose. So also the fear towards our highest version of ourselves is located in the chest area of the rib cage, the sternum, and the fear of intimacy in relationships. Now, this fear of intimacy in relationship is not only the fear of intimacy in relationships towards others, that you might be afraid to be intimate with someone else, but the fear of intimacy in relationships is more towards your inner relationships. So are you having an intimate relationship between your mental body, your intellect, your masculine, and your inner child? Or is there no harmony between those two? Do you have a harmonious relationship between your inner child and your inner spirit? Or is there no harmony between those two? Because your outer reality will be reflecting those fears of intimacy to all parts of yourself back to you. So you have to work on having an harmonious relationship with all four parts of yourself. So we carry an inner nurture, an inner feminine inside of ourselves, an inner warrior, an inner masculine inside of ourselves. We carry an inner child in ourselves, and we carry a inner spirit in ourselves. So we're living life actually with four people inside of ourselves. This is why you're never living life alone. There's always someone to talk with inside of you. So, and then above your heart chakra, we have the collarbone. And the collarbone area is located with the higher heart chakra. The higher heart chakra is the heart chakra of the personality. And the higher heart chakra of personality is the one who likes to make things happen. It's the one who does things. But the one who does things, the one who likes to make things happen, this is the one basically who also tends to take things personal. So what happens when we take things personal, usually what happens is that the higher heart chakra of the personality who takes it personal closes down. This heart chakra then, because it closes down, we tend to close and implode. We become colder. And that is when we fall into empathy. So we take things personal. Like I previously already explained, when you feel that, love yourself for it, but allow yourself through the breathing to move yourself from feeling it, empathy in the diaphragm, to seeing it on the exhale, moving yourself into compassion. Compassion does not take anything personal. Now, I know that, this is a journey of moving yourself from feeling it, empathy, to compassion. So whenever it happens, forgive yourself for, taking it personal, but allow yourself to move yourself to compassion, seeing it, because life is never happening to you. Life is always happening for you to learn and grow from. So things that we can do also in this area is feeling the burden, feeling burdened, feeling held back because we have taken things personal. And our self-worth drops, our self-esteem drops, and low self-worth, low self-esteem are unhealthy. There's only truth in healthy self-esteem. So whenever you would recognize low self-worth, low self-esteem, start moving yourself from feeling it, low self-worth, low self-esteem, to seeing the illusion into it that there is only truth in healthy self-esteem. You are worthy of it all. And you've been made, you've been created to be a being that lives in healthy self-esteem. Now, what we also tend to do in this area is worrying. And worrying is actually the fears that we carry in our body, the inadequacy, the fear of failure, projected onto whatever we are worrying about. If you are worrying about a project, you are adding your fear of failure or inadequacy onto the project that you are worrying about. And therefore, your project will never be able to reach its highest potential future outcome, because due to the fear starts consuming creative space, creative energy, so that project will never be able to reach its highest potential future outcome. If you are worrying about a relationship, if you are worrying that you're not getting what you want out of the person, if you are worried about the person maybe leaving, then your worry is actually your fear of failure or not being good enough added onto the relationship that you are worrying about, and it starts polluting, it starts to infect kind of the highest potential future outcome of the person, the relationship, the project that you are worrying about. This also counts for those people in the spiritual community who are worrying about their brothers or sisters, about the collective. When you are worrying about the collective awakening, for instance, you are adding your fear of failure, you're adding your fear of inadequacy onto the collective, and it actually allows the collective to not awaken, because your fear is contributing to the fears that allow them not to awaken, basically. So when we would all stop worrying and just be happy, just like Bob Marley sings, then we would be able to move through this, through this ascension with much more ease and grace, instead of, adding more fear onto the collective. So it's very important actually to be aware of this, because it is in the personality. It is in the personality heart chakra that we choose to put our energy, our time onto worrying. And when we are adding our time on and energy on worrying, immediately in that moment, we start already polluting the highest potential future outcome of the ascension of the collective, the creative project, the person that we are maybe worrying about. So whenever you recognize worrying, try to change it. And you can, because you can change the worrying immediately once you come aware of it and say, like, worry is not in my highest truth. Worry is not in my highest alignment. I'm just going to do my best, and everybody else is doing their best. And if we all are just doing our best, then we are going to make it. That is also what is called having faith and trust into the divine plan. If you are worrying about the collective, if you are worrying about the awakening, you are not trusting, you're not having faith in the divine plan. The divine creator has a bigger plan than you can probably imagine with your intellect mind, who is actually at that time putting your energy, time on worrying, which is the fear of failure or mistakes added on to whatever you are worrying about. So these points in the body, these areas in the body that are connected to your chakras, that are connected to the energy centers, they can cause mental anxieties. So your third eye, I always call the third eye, like a radio receiver. And the radio receiver of a radio receives all the radio stations and put them in a chronological following, 0 FM to 1500 FM. Your crown chakra is like the radio receiver. It's the antenna that picks up on all the inspiration that you can possibly get from 0 FM to 1500 FM, but it's not in a chronological following. These are all the thoughts that we, want to actually let pass by like a white cloud in a blue sky, because they're just there to be inspiration. They're not there to get attached to a cloud. They're not here to get defensive to a cloud. No, because if you get attached or defensive to a cloud, the weather will go from a blue sky with some white clouds here and there, go to, attaching to the cloud becomes darker and darker, and the dark cloud ends up being a thunderstorm. So when you recognize this, allow your thoughts to flow, and don't get defensive and don't get attached to your thoughts. Allow the thoughts to flow. So if you look into those points that I've mentioned that can activate mental anxiety, so if we go through all of them, then this is where you can start changing your reality from duality to unity or oneness by training your brain, by training your mind. If we are living life in the West, we can easily feel challenged. Life is challenging. If you label your reality for being challenging, this is also how you're going to see through your eyes of my life is a challenge. So whenever you would do this, recognize it. Whenever you say, my life is challenging, my life is hard, I only got problems. Problems. To the soul, there is no such thing as problem. To the soul, there's only opportunities to learn and grow, and there's only solutions to whatever might be coming up. In the third dimension, problems exist, but in the fifth dimension, there's simply no problem at all. There's only opportunities to learn and grow, and there's only solutions. The soul sees the solution, the mind sees the problem. Just like the mind would say, fuck it, and the soul would say, love it. So whenever you recognize the negative label, you can change that negative label, because you can say, no, my life is not challenging, because I want to see through the eyes of truth. I want to see through the eye of my soul. And my soul says, my life is perfect with its imperfections. My life is at ease, or there's always a solution to the problem if there might be a problem. So be aware how you can label your reality. You can reject your intuition.
Your intuition is sitting in your tummy, in your intuition center, in your navel area, and your mind can easily reject your own intuition. And if you have the anxiety that you might reject your intuition because it can cause you to make a failure or a mistake by trusting it, then you're going to probably make a failure or mistake because you didn't trust your intuition. Yeah, so this is where the fear of making failures and mistakes will come back around, because if you reject your intuition, the universe will surely make you aware that you should always trust your intuition. The anxiety towards rejection, it can also be happening outside of you. If you feel rejected by someone else, that other person is actually only reflecting your own fear of rejection back to you. Because as within, so without, so without, so within. Everything that happens outside of you is also inside of you. And when you remove it inside of yourself, it will also be removed outside of yourself. The fear towards darkness. Now, darkness, negativity, dark thoughts, negative judgments, negative pictures, they are all related to the fear or the anxiety of darkness. You might have been afraid in the dark, in a dark room when you were a little child, or having to walk through a dark park or a forest at night. Anxiety towards darkness, dark thoughts, negative judgments, negative pictures are all related to the anxiety towards darkness. The outer reality will be making you aware of this until you have resolved that inside of yourself. Then we have the anxiety or the fear towards chaos. We can constantly say, my life is a chaos. I'm such a chaos. I'm such a mess. If you tell yourself that, if you label your reality here with that negative label, you will be seeing through those two eyes of illusion instead of seeing through the eye of truth. Truth, your soul, will never look through the eye of chaos. Because if you are living inside of your heart and you're living inside of your soul will always be the eye within the storm, and there can be chaos all around you and it won't be able to affect you, because it is simply not the reality of your soul to be a mess, to be a chaos, to be depressed, to be negative, because your soul does not live in the fifth dimension. Your mind might be, but this is how you can train your mind, and you can train your brain. The anxiety towards ignorance. Ignorance, we might ignore our intuition. We might be ignored by someone else. We might have experienced love unreceived, betrayal, breaking of loyalty. We could have maybe been feeling ignored by someone. We didn't get invited for their birthday, but we did invite them for their birthday, and so on and so on. If this is the case, then we can hold on to this anxiety of ignorance. Then we have another point of the anxiety of fertility. I want to actually add a little bit more into this fear of this anxiety of ignorance, because we tend to also ignore a part of ourselves. We can also ignore the feminine, our feelings, our emotions. We can also ignore our creativity, our inner child. We can also ignore our intuition, our instinct, and that is also our inner child. We can also ignore that we are a spiritual being living a human experience, and we don't place awareness on our spiritual evolution or our consciousness evolution. If this is the case, then you're also living in ignorance, and that ignorance is then also being reflected by your outer reality. And when that happens, it is actually a gift for all of us to see that, maybe we have been ignoring a part of ourselves. Fertility, and a different word for fertility is actually pointlessness or uselessness. Pointlessness or uselessness, if you call yourself useless, pointless, if you're telling yourself, I'm such a mess, or I hate myself for doing this or that, or I hate it when I'm late, if you label yourself with that negative vibration, it lets you see through the eyes of illusion of negativity. It is not the reality of the fifth dimension of your soul. It is the reality of the third dimension that we are all in the process of leaving behind, because that's where, you know, all of the diseases are happening, and all of the distress and negativity is happening, where your soul will make you feel disharmonious when you would be, yeah, labeling yourself as pointless or useless, or hating yourself for doing something that was simply just learning and growing and knowing how to, and better not, and knowing how not to do certain things. So that is what fertility means. Try to recognize it, because again, this is a way that how we can label our reality negatively instead of having a positive alternative. Yeah, you are perfect with your imperfections. You are simply learning and growing and knowing how to, and better not, and knowing how not to do certain things. So you're never pointless, you're never useless, you're never living in a chaos, because you can be the I am within the chaos, the I within the chaos. Darkness is more powerful than light, which is the illusion that we have been made believe that duality is more powerful than unity or singularity. Yeah. Lucifer is stronger than Archangel Michael. No, that has been proven because the battle was already lost. So, you know, we're all moving back to oneness. I'm only giving you information here for you to be able to graduate or evolve a little faster. So the last point is self-doubt and collective doubt, or collective self-doubt, or the spiritual community having self-doubt towards the collective, towards other brothers and sisters who maybe are evolutionary on a lower level as you are, but if they are doing things that you might not like, they have to do those things in order for them to learn and grow and to come and meet you at that same level, because we cannot take other people's breakthroughs away. So self-doubt is something that we can get inspired with, that we can have in our crown chakra. The other ones that I spoke about are ones that we can carry in our third eye. So just be aware that self-doubt, doubting the collective, doubting your brothers and sisters who might be on a different evolutionary level, this is what also can add to collective self-doubt. And this is something that we kind of need to shift in this moment. In this moment, we need to start trusting the divine plan. That divine plan is going to lead all of us back to oneness, back to source, back to unity consciousness. But for this, we have to stop doubting ourselves, and we have to stop doubting the collective consciousness, our brothers and sisters. If they are here and you are here, and they need to do, you know, there's maybe people cutting trees, and you wouldn't choose that, but they have to do that in order for them to learn and grow and come and meet you at the same level. If you are going to make it bad, wrong, or negative, it is like, you know, our subconscious, our inner childs are kind of like little children, innocent children, that if you, you know, were told when you were a child, you shouldn't do that this way, you have to try it this way, because this way you will make it work. You're gonna try it anyway, the way you think you need to do it, in order for you to learn and grow and come to the embodiment of how to, and better not, in knowing how not to do certain things, that gets you to the embodiment of learning and growing. So you can be at that level of consciousness, and the other might be here. Try not to project your graduations onto the other person, because it's simply not going to work. Yeah, everybody graduates in their own time and space, in their own evolutionary level. So try to be aware of that self-doubt. Self-doubt and your self-doubt can add to the collective self-doubt, because we all have a crown chakra and it functions like a radio receiver, and we send out messages into the collective consciousness. We send in messages into the collective mental body. So other people might be getting inspired with your self-doubt. I could pick up on somebody else's self-doubt. And if I identify myself with it, I might start doubting myself, which was actually not my self-doubt, but it was somebody else's self-doubt. So it's simply just inspiration that we need to see as a white pillow cloud moving by through the sky, but don't get attached to it. So recognize self-doubt, recognize doubting the collective, doubting a brother who's evolutionary here and you are here, that you can cancel that self-doubt towards the other and you set yourself free and you become a higher version of yourself. And it might also inspire the collective to let go of the collective self-doubt, that we can raise the vibration in that way, because self-doubt, again, it is a negative picture, a negative thought form, a negative judgment towards ourselves, towards others, towards the collective, and also the collective awakening. So I hope this recording helps you to find a bit more clarity into my previous post about the bodywork trigger point map. In my trainings and in my workshops, I go through this map also, and you actually learn how to release these emotions from your own body, but also doing it on someone else, because it's beautiful to be of service to someone else. It will give you lots of gratitude, and you know, when you do good, you will meet good also. So what comes around goes around. Yes, beautiful people. Sending you big love, big hug from Mama Bali, and keep living it up. Woo!